I was talking to a friend of mine that I've had this conversation multiple times, who was saying, "Oh, I love Jesus. I pray to Jesus all the time, but I'll pray to any God that'll help me." And so sometimes, some mornings I wake up and I thank Jesus, and some mornings I turn to some other God, and whatever feels like it'll help me that day. That's kind of my religion. And so I kind of pushed back gently. I said, you're saying you like Jesus. What do you think about the words of Jesus? He said things like, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me." He makes this very exclusive claim on our lives, say he is the master, he is the king. What do you think about that? And he said, "Well, I just don't think Jesus said that," which is very convenient. If you can just cut out the parts of Jesus's life that you don't like and turn him into your own image, then yeah, everyone would like Jesus. But now that's a more blatant example. But I was realizing, well, I think we do that all the time as well, even as Christians. We worship Jesus as king, except this relationship over here, Jesus. I'm not going to let you speak into that. We proclaim Jesus, our trust in him for eternity, but not over our finances, right? And I think through my own life, how many times I've worshiped Jesus on Sunday, but then come Monday, I'm making my own choices. I don't want to actually follow him. I think that's what Palm Sunday is challenging me to reflect on today. It's not just the blatant kind of the new age religion that says, "Oh, I'm just going to make Jesus into whoever I want him to be." We do that too. The crowd on Palm Sunday was doing that. They're saying, "Jesus, we want you to be our king, overthrow the Romans." But as soon as it turns out he's not going to conquer in that way, they turn on him and they start to shout, "Crucify." The contrast here you have at the beginning, blind Bartimaeus and the disciples who are called by Jesus and they follow him on the way. And the disciples, even though it doesn't make a lot of sense, they just practice this simple obedience. Say, "Jesus, I'm going to do exactly what you told me to do today." And then you have the crowd who's shouting big, glamorous praise, but in just 5 days, they're going to be shouting, "Crucify him." They're celebrating him, but they're not submitting to him as king. And that, to me, is the main invitation for us to think about. Have I really made Jesus my master, my king, my Lord? Sure, I celebrate him on Sunday, but come Monday, am I letting him actually speak into this relationship, this decision? I don't want to end with that, though. I want to end back with grace in the gospel, because there's something even beyond all of that I think is really encouraging and uplifting for me. It's true. I look at that and I'm like, I'm not perfect. There are many times where I refuse to obey the simple words of Jesus. But Jesus is not saying, if these people get it right, then maybe I'll be their savior. Actually, it's not because the crowd is getting it right about him that he's going to his death. He's about to die on the cross precisely because they're getting it wrong. He looks at this crowd, he says, "These are my people. They have completely missed the point about who I am. They think I'm a different sort of king, and that's why I'm going to die to save them." It's grounded in God's grace. He's looking at this moment and saying, that's why this week is going to end with my death, because my people can't save themselves. They've got it all messed up. They've got a completely warped view of God's salvation. And yet, in my grace, I'm going to lay down my life for them. He's dying for this crowd that would later shout, "Crucify him." He's dying for us who mess it up all the time. There's this great invitation. Jesus does want to be the master and king of my life. To say, hey, the words of Jesus, even when they don't make sense, are the best possible way to live. But even when we mess it up, Jesus has already decided to go to the cross. He goes to the cross not because they get it right, but precisely because they get it wrong. So let's focus on that this week as we head into this Passion Week, reflecting on the last week of Jesus's life, this great salvation of grace that he has given to us. It starts with his grace for you and for me.